Greetings Internet, DDA here, and welcome to another Star Wars Unlimited match video. We have bringing at you the local weekly Portal Comics and Gaming weekly play. This week was the first week that we all kind of brought out our constructed decks to playtest in the new meta. So today we have bringing you Joe, who is on his major Vonreg aggressive build. Joe has been playing these yellow-red aggro builds for a very long time, since pretty much he started playing this card game. You know, he jumps between, I would say, Boba, Django, Ventress, all these kind of villain, low-to-the-ground aggressive leaders. So Vonreg was an obvious transition for him, playing these aggressive space aggro builds. Over on the left-hand side, we have Tom, who is, of course, sporting his Quinlin Tarkintown deck that he has been playing since Set 3 launched. Quinlin, such an awesome, control-y aggro leader. We are going to have to see. I don't know how much Tom has changed his Quinlin deck in this new set. Be interested to see some of his opinions, or hear some of his opinions on how the Plo Koon card has changed in this new space aggro meta. Plo Koon, of course, was a crazy card last set. I don't know if it's as crazy when there's just a lot less in the ground arena. But Joe's starting with initiative here with his Jawa token. Dropping down the Bib Fortuna. Quinlin responding with the Sabine unit and getting the ping to ping off the shield, and enabling Sabine's ability to take out that Bib. It looks like Joe has a Cartel Spacer he could use to tap the Sabine. Also, am I seeing? Yeah, I think he has a Triple Dark Raid as well in his hand. We could be seeing a discounted Triple Dark Raid. Of course, Triple Dark Raid, when you Triple Dark in these red villain aggro decks, these red-yellow villain aggro decks, you always want one resource hanging. So this is perfect here to Triple Dark here for 2 with Bib. Leave that one resource hanging, which gives you the ability to play 6 costed ships. Of course, one of those 6 costed ships being Ruthless Raider. So that's why you usually want to leave that one hanging, because of the Ruthless Raider. Wonder what ship we are going to see here. I really enjoy Vonreg's. I love his ship. Actually, we're going to see a Joe drop down the Vonreg TIE Interceptor here. I love this ship. I think this is one of the greatest ships that was actually released in the new set. The 3/4 stat line for 3, crazy strong, and then the kind of cascading built-up buffing effects that it has. We are not going to see any of that extra damage come right now, but we will see the power of the 3/4 stat line here, because, oh, actually, Tom is going to be able to take out the ship with the ping from Quinlin, showing the power of and the controlling nature of Quinlin with the Tarkintown here, and pushing in 3 damage with the Falcon. Of course, Vonreg's being a red villain, you lose access to Tarkintown. Jeddah City is an option, and I know that a lot of yellow aggro players, specifically Unplayable, shout out to Unplayable, love their content. They were messing around. I think they came out with a video about Jeddah City and how aggro decks should be running Jeddah City. And it makes sense, to be honest with you. I actually was on board with them and that video, because Sentinels are always a problem for aggro decks, and Jeddah City allows you to take out Sentinels free of charge. That's what you have to think. So obviously Jeddah City is not like the net of Jeddah City, like the -4 for -5 HP, like it's net negative. So you have to ask yourself, well, how is the Jeddah City actually giving you value? Well, it's giving you value by saving your units if you're forced into attacking sentinels. You could use Jeddah City. Alternatively, I guess you can't actually use Petronanki because I don't think... Oh, no, I think Petronanki does work with pilot leaders. Yes, that's right, because it makes it a leader unit. Yeah, so you could run Petronanki in here, too. I'm just kind of thinking through this because being an aggro deck, usually you want to go with the base ability over the 30 HP, unless you feel like you could kind of hang in the late mid game. But when Vonreg comes out on 4, as we're going to see here, you know, dropping down the Lurking Tie here on Vonreg's side, we are surely going to see that piloted Lurking Tie. The piloted Lurking Tie has to be the greatest use of pilots. It basically makes it immune to everything. Because it's a leader, it can't be returned to hand. It can't be damaged by abilities. It can't be defeated by abilities. So it's immune. I can't think of a card. Minus is the only thing that can affect the Lurking Tie leader. So it'd be like Perilous or Luke unit or things in blue. Out the airlock. That's quite literally, honestly, that's probably why they released Out the Airlock. Now that I'm kind of thinking through this, that's probably why they released Out the Airlock, because it's the only thing in the game that can really answer the Lurking Tie leader. Because right here, I mean, Lurking Tie leader is a 5/5. Out the Airlock would cleanly answer that 5/5 Lurking Tie leader. But we did see, kind of catching up here, Tom used that Force Throw to discard the Cartel. And having that Ezra Bridger, it would have been great for Tom to be able to damage the Lurking Tie. But you can't damage Lurking Tie. You can't do it. This is something that I learned very quickly about these early space aggro decks with the Lurking Tie. Or like the Vader leader space aggro decks, but oh wow, pushing in incredible damage here. I think that's 10 damage there from the Lurking Tie. Crazy amount of damage. Joe may be kind of convincing me that the 30 HP is the better play, because just kind of ignoring the ground arena, letting them push in, not worried about it. So, of course, this is the 5 turn, so this is the Quinlin flip turn. Just kind of sticking that Lurking Tie makes it so he can kind of ignore Quinlin. And then the Commandeer sitting in Tom's hands, not doing anything either, because that Lurking Tie has a pilot. There's so much that the Lurking Tie leader pilot gets around. Commandeer, a great card, but not so great against these pilot leaders. Because, of course, Commandeer can only be used when they do not have a pilot. I love the flavor of that card, because it makes sense that if there was a pilot in that vehicle, that they would kind of fight you for the control of the vehicle if you would try to commandeer it. Bringing out Quinlin here, a play that Tom could do is ping the 7th Fleet shield and then commandeer the 7th Fleet and send it into the Lurking Tie. Or maybe even surprise. Honestly, you commandeer it and then you surprise strike it in a Lurking Tie. And I'm not even lying. Like, that would be a play that I would do. Taking out the Lurking Tie leader. Like, it's 8 damage, right? 5, 6, 7. No, it's 7 damage. Yeah, so Joe is very, very close to lethal right now. Getting Tarkintown up to 13. The 7 damage from the Lurking Tie leader is just crazy. So here it is. Yep, doing the Lurking Tie play. Yeah, it would have been preferred. I feel Tom was thinking about the Ahsoka there. I think I would have went for the Ahsoka. Go for the Ahsoka, ping the shield. Oh, I guess he just wanted to reduce damage. I see. So just take the 7th Fleet off of the field. Fair, that's fair. He didn't... The thing is, Joe didn't have lethal with on board, unless he had like a surprise strike or something in his hand. With the 7th Fleet and the Lurking Tie, he was like 2 or 3 off from lethal. So that's what I would have thought about doing. Although looking at Joe's hand, he does have a Vader pilot in his hand. So if Joe would have thought about Commandeer, he could have opened pilot on 7th Fleet and to play around the Commandeer. But then he could have got waylaid. So interesting kind of back and forth here. Tom trying to get rid of that Lurking Tie leader. I don't think it's going to happen. He is fishing. He is fishing for something to get rid of that Lurking Tie leader. I think he discarded that card. Not sure what that card was. But it looks like Tom does have a surprise strike. Oh, no, he has the Waylay in his hand. Waylay, Ahsoka, Poe, and Force Throw. None of those cards are going to help him stop the Lurking Tie push. So if you had a question of whether the new pilot leaders were good, use this video as an example. Play down Lurking Tie, put your leader on that Lurking Tie, and then quite literally the only things in the game that can affect you are tap downs and minus. We're going to see the No Good to Me Dead here on the Quinlin leader to slow the damage. Tom going to take initiative. He knows he has to because one shot from that Lurking Tie and it is GG. I don't think Tom has an answer. Not in a single action, at least. The Ahsoka could... No, the Ahsoka can't because it's exhaust a ground unit. Yeah, so I don't think Tom has an answer in his entire deck. Yeah, I don't even know if Electromagnetic Pulse would answer that because... Is it if you do? Is Electromagnetic Pulse if you do? Because Lurking Tie can't be damaged, so you're not dealing the damage. It depends on how Electromagnetic Pulse is worded. But it could be a viable... Oh, I think, Bamboozle. That's what we need. We're Yellow Hero. Of course we need Bamboozle. I think this is an argument for Tom to play Bamboozle in the main deck. I'm not sure. I think he actually is running Bamboozle in the main deck. Yeah, so he's going to drop down Ahsoka here. Not really going to matter. Get the discard. She only exhausts a ground unit. Discarding the Triple Dark Raid and then attacking for 7. Joe taking game 1. Showing the power of the Lurking Tie leaders. We are going to have to see. There's the one Bamboozle. I think Tom plays 2 Bamboozle main and 1 in the side. So just not seeing the Bamboozle there in game 1. Taking out Poe Dameron. Oh, no, not taking out Poe Dameron. Yeah, Poe is very slow. Yeah, take out the spark. Take out the... Yep, he's making good choices here. He's playing against an aggro deck, so... The Poe could help. The Poe could help with the large number of damage that Poe can do in a single shot. Just kind of end the game against the aggro deck. But we'll have to see. Going into the second match, Quinlin, definitely an uphill battle here. Usually Quinlin can play control really well, but I think this kind of shows how much Bamboozle is needed in the meta with these Lurking Tie piloted leaders. I first experienced this combo playing one of my locals, Dave, with his Invisible Hand Vader Swarm Space deck. And of course, Vader is a 5/5 pilot. So Lurking Tie is 9 damage with Vader piloted. Just crazy. Like, when you start hitting like 9 damage in a single shot, the tempo that is so powerful. And it kind of shows you why Django is so dominant in the meta. because it's just such a powerful play to be able to do that. Be able to hit for such a large number of damage. Because as we saw in this last game, Tom was forced into a claim. He had to leave damage up, and he had him at 18. He wasn't at a small number of damage. They were racing. It's just that Joe won that race. But just kind of seeing the power of Django, because in that instance, Django could just claim there and then tap down the tie. Oh, no, he can't, because he can't damage it. Silly, silly, silly person. Wow. What an incredible combo the Lurking Tie is. So it looks like blue is the only color in the game that can really answer the Lurking Tie combo. Ambush units would be the other thing. So maybe green and blue would be your best. Because they have some yellow too. So this actually is another argument to probably have... What's that 3-4 ambush ship? Azatuk. Azatuk Liberator gunship. So here's another actual argument for an Azatuk sideboard. I know, Azatuk Liberator gunship has been a card that's jumped in and out of the main deck of most yellow hero decks. As the meta changes, it kind of shifts between ground and space and ground and space. Azatuk is always a strong card, but I think the value of lurking has just gone up so much with these piloted leaders. Seeing a very similar start to Game 2 here with the Bib, and I think that is Sabine unit as well. Another Commandeer in hand. Yep, so an exact replica of Game 1 to start, except Quinlin has initiative. So going to be able to take out that Bib before Joe is able to get off a discounted event. Yes, absolutely. Throw the Falcon down. You don't need it. You don't need it, bro. Keeping the Bamboozle, though. Probably wanted to keep the Falcon for the ambush. Keep the Falcon for the ambush. Oh, I see. So no, he actually does not have initiative because he had passed in order to get the ping with the Sabine, of course. So we are literally seeing a carbon copy of Game 1 here, except looks like Joe is going to find that Ruthless Raider this time to get that 2 damage on Sabine and 2 damage onto the base, ensuring Sabine's death if Tom decides to take out Bib Fortuna with Sabine. Probably not. Probably just going to... Looks like he can't play... Probably just play down the red 3 and get the extra damage in, I would say. But no, going to actually take out... Well, I guess knowing that Von is going to clear his board here, do a lot of damage, but clear his board, have no board. So potentially, Quinlin could take advantage of the lack of board development from the Vonregs here. If he is able, and this is perfect. You see here Tom is on 4 resource. Hopefully he can drop that Kira and name Lurking Tie before Joe can get it off. He does have red 3, so he has some protection to the Lurking Tie. Likewise, 4 resource is the Azatuk, but it looks like we are going to see the 7th Fleet Joe, good on Joe here, not just dropping down the Lurking Tie to go into its death, but dropping down the 7th Fleet Defender with the shield, either forcing Quinlin to play off curve, or we are going to see this Kira here to check out Joe's hand. I'm assuming probably going to name Lurking Tie. With how dominating Lurking Tie was last game, yep, I saw Tom kind of point. The stay on target's very strong as well. We're still 2 turns away from Ruthless Raider, so probably not that. But I'm thinking the Lurking Tie, because then all he has is the 7th Fleet Defender. And yes, he could stay on target next turn, 7th Fleet into base, and then maybe ready it with the other event that he has in hand. I can't remember what it's called. It's like Krogarian something. And ready a transport unit or a fighter. So you could possibly like spend all 5 resources next turn. Oh wow, wow! Actually, we are going. This is pretty crazy. So actually, maybe not the Lurking Tide was the call there. Maybe actually that Krogarian ready card is the call, because it readies a fighter. We could be seeing a double attack for 12 damage coming up here with Vonreg's. Bamboozle takes out the piloted leader, takes out the leader and the shield. See Tom there discard the yellow card to play it for free. Very good plays here by Tom. This may be the tempo that he needed to survive. Now, it's unfortunate that Tom probably has to trade the red 3 here to take out that 3 damage, but I think Tom knows that he wins in the long run, and he put Joe pretty far back with that Bamboozle play. He just needs to seal out. This is the Quinlin flip. So we can see that Quinlin can play a little bit of a controlling game here. He needs to limit his base damage. Joe is already up by 11 damage. Joe is up, but he doesn't have initiative. Okay, so we're going to see the surprise strike for 6 damage here. Getting Tarkintown to 15. Oh, the way he has it oriented, I thought that was a 9. It was a 6. Okay. It's getting him to 12, actually. So we're going to see the Quinlin deploy. Can push in for extra red 3 damage here. So push in for the extra red 3 damage and then probably just kill with red 3. Like, you got to trade. You got to trade the red 3 to just stop the damage push. Always got to think against the aggro decks. You know, how much damage have they done to me? And then how can I limit their damage? I'm gonna push in here for 4 damage with Kira. So now I think the action ability of Vonreg's is play a vehicle and then give something power. It's a very slow play, and it kind of begs you to go cross arena. This is a tough. It's tough to sequence this with Vonreg's here. Tom actually deciding to push in with the red 3. I would not do that. I would actually take out the unit. Joe claimed there, unless he's going to Tarkintown. He's going to actually force throw here. Oh, he was going to follow up with the force throw. Okay, so he knew that he was going to have the force throw Tarkintown. That's why he pushed in. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. So good on Tom there. Superior Quinlin sequencing there. This is looking really good for Tom. A lot of a different game here. You can see the ability for Bamboozle to take off the piloted leaders is incredibly powerful. So, you know, the early game piloted leaders are just so strong for pushing in damage. Like, if you compare Vonreg's to Sabine, the damage is similar. Like, Sabine is adding 3 damage, Von is adding 3 damage. This is a strong aggro deck. Tapping out fully here for the Ruthless Raider. Unfortunately, no Tarkintown follow up here for this 2 damage ping on one of Quinlin's units. Not sure where that 2 damage ping is going to go. But getting Tom up to 16, going to ping the Kira. This red 3 damage, though, is starting to add up. All this extra damage from red 3. Searching for that number on the D20. 16 to 16. Of course, Tarkintown is much lower in damage. Joe doesn't have a burst play here. An out of aspect heroic sacrifice would do 8. Oh, the Commandeer. Oh, that's game over. The Commandeer's game over for sure. Getting Vonreg's up to 26. Sending the Ruthless Raider back to hand. Commandeer showing the power. All right, going into game 3, crazy games. Vonreg's, Bamboozle there really hurt. Commandeer there really hurt. But this is kind of the game you're playing with aggro. You with aggro, it really is. Roll that dice, flip that coin, and see where it lands, because it is a mad dash race to the end of the game when you're playing these aggressive low-to-the-ground decks. And it just so happened Tom had the Bamboozle there. I'm wondering if... Yeah, so yellow does have some answers to the Bamboozle play. You could play Bazine, actually. Bazine could be a great answer when you know that you're facing off against yellow hero and Bamboozle. Or like confiscates and things like that. Like Bazine could be a really good play. Like if you would go lurking turn 2, turn 3 Bazine to fish out the... You could Bazine from Smuggle too on the Vonreg's flip turn, which is really great. So yeah, I don't know if Joe plays Bazine or if he has it side, but definitely a good counter to all this upgrade hate in the meta that we are seeing. When your leader is a piloted leader, and it may be better for Joe to actually deploy Vonreg as a unit in this matchup. That's another option as well. Because when you know that you're facing off against Bamboozle, confiscates, and things like that, like depending on the deck build, like we saw in game 1 it worked out. Game 2, it was basically an auto loss with the Bamboozle. But knowing that going into game 3, you can adjust your game plan. Think about how you're going to adjust your game plan knowing that Tom plays a ton of Bamboozles. Wow, Red 5 is such an incredible card in Quinlin. Wow, I never put that together. That is such a strong combo. Quinlin for the ping and then the Red 5 for the follow-up. Tom keeping the Sabine unit, of course, the Kira as well. And what is Joe working with? Joe looks like he has another one of those ready ships, the ready event. I'm looking to see what Joe's turn 1 play is. Does he not have a turn 1 play? He has a Crafty. Crafty is actually a really good turn 1 play against the Quinlin Tarkintown decks because the ping goes on the shield and then there is no damaged unit for the follow-up with the Tarkintown. Joe starting off with initiative here. Looks like he has a stolen AT Hauler in his hand as well. Yep, getting the Quinlin ping here, getting off that shield, but Joe is still going to be able to push in that damage with the Crafty Smuggler. Tom drawing into Bamboozle and Red 3. Surely going to save that Bamboozle. Yeah, get rid of the Red 3. Save the Bamboozle for the inevitable Vonregs. Now, I wonder if Joe is going to adjust his game plan here and actually deploy Vonregs to the ground arena. I'm very curious to see if that's what he decides to do. Pushing in 2 damage here from the Crafty Smuggler, and then Tom responding by taking out the Crafty Smuggler. Makes sense. Again, it is aggro versus mid-range. You know that the Quinlin deck is going to want to play the control-y game here. So a little scary here, actually. A little scary because Tom, I don't think, burned Tarkintown yet. I don't think Tom burned Tarkintown yet, so this stolen hauler play, I think he has Vonreg's Interceptor in his hand. I might have did that instead. I know it dies to the Tarkintown immediately versus the hauler can take the Tarkintown. But, you know, this, you know, giving Tom the hauler, I don't think is gonna work out for Joe. But we will have to see how this ends up here. Joe does have a open fire in hand. Are we about to see the open fire on the red 5? It will save the hauler. Yeah, save the hauler here. Red 5, such a great card in Quinlan. I never realized that is such a good card in this deck archetype. Seeing the Quinlan, the Kira play here, and getting the ultimate glare from the cards, but seeing a surprise strike, what is that, Kogarian turn or something like that, ready a fighter transport, and then Vonreg's Interceptor as well. So probably the call is surprise strike here, or the Krogarian turn. Probably the turn, actually. Wait, because it's a transport. It's not a fighter. Oh, no, it's a transport. I can ready a transport. Yeah, so probably that card then. Because the double attack, like the surprise strike is 3 damage, but the Krogarian card is actually 7 damage. So you just like math it out. It is better to take out that ready card because we are going to see and this is what I'm saying. It's like, yes, the bamboozle. The bamboozle immediately to answer. So it may have been better for him. Yeah, I think it would probably be better for him to just deploy to the ground arena there. Like, yeah, it's not great. Like, your Vonregs is probably just going to die in the ground arena as soon as Quinlan deploys. But at least you'll be able to get one attack off. Like, he can only bamboozle one target. And you could swing with the hauler, potentially swing with Vonregs. Yeah, I think that would probably be the best. Knowing how many bamboozles he plays. Now, I know that, but just knowing going into yellow hero, you have to kind of expect the bamboozle. So we are setting in to be a interesting conclusion to this series here between these two players. Quinlan definitely looks like he's a little bit up. Has Tarkintown still online. Just needs to deploy Quinlan and get that one ping. And then Tarkintown that hauler and steal it. But Joe getting Tarkintown base up to 9 damage. Pinging the hauler with the Cassian unit play. Now, whatever you do, Joe, do not ready that unit. No! You're gonna get Tarkintowned. Probably his only play. Yeah, immediately Tarkintowning him. Yeah, of course, of course. Poor Joe. Yeah, he did have a follow-up play. He could have did the Vonreg Interceptor and then Daring Raid. Just throw down Vonreg, Daring Raid to base. It's going to be really unfortunate. Actually, you could have thrown down Vonreg and then Daring Raided the inevitable stolen hauler. Yeah. Yeah, so for those of you on the video, just always remember that, stolen hauler, that's your opponent's effect. So yes, it's important for you to maintain the board state and maintain mandatory effects for both sides of the board. It's both players' responsibility to do that. But your opponent using optional effects, like playing that stolen hauler from the discard pile, that's an optional effect that your opponent gets. They need to remember that. That is on them. You do not need to remind your opponent that they can steal your hauler. So definitely worthy to note there. Play the hauler in the discard pile. You don't necessarily need to mention to your opponent that they can steal it. But we did see a waylay in Joe's hand there. Surely going to waylay the hauler back to hand, back to his own hand, saving that 4 damage and then enabling the hauler to go back to him so he can play it again. Now that the Tarkintown is offline, that 5 HP could stand up to pretty much any space unit that Quinlin could play. Although we are getting towards the 6 resource turn, so I don't know if Tom kept that Falcon in his hand, but he could ambush the Falcon 2 if he did keep it. I don't think he kept it, though. With that Bamboozle discard, it's hard to keep cards in your hand. Joe dropping down Vonregs here. I think he has a Surprise Strike in hand, so that Surprise Strike is 7 damage. Tom pushing in here hard with Quinlin in the ground arena. Quinlin kind of taking over the ground arena. Quinlin is definitely going to be one of those decks that plays in the ground arena. And with Plo Koon is just kind of ensuring that you own the ground arena. Millennium Falcon here is it's a strong play to ensure the takeout on the interceptor. Alternatively, he could have force throwed there, but actually he wants a Surprise Strike to push in extra damage. Kind of 50-50 there. I maybe would have force throwed, because you see, now again, hindsight is 20/20, but you see in Joe's hand he has 2/3 costed units. So if he force throws there, he gets the guaranteed kill on the Vonregs. And then he has the Falcon damage to fall back on. Like, if the force throw missed and he didn't get the 3 damage, he could have just sent the Falcon in there, like he did, and then save the Surprise Strike for the burst damage on this final turn here. I prefer to do Surprise Strike burst damage on the final turn. But yep, Ruthless Raider taking out, and you can kind of see why Joe should have probably deployed Vonregs to the ground arena. He would have likely been able to get maybe an extra 8 to 10 damage with that hauler, and the Vonregs just playing into the Bamboozle is going to be a loss every time. So, interesting match. Seeing the power of Bamboozle in this piloted meta. If you're not playing Bamboozle in your yellow hero decks, you need to be, myself included, for my Mando yellow builds. Even if you're playing the odd package, it is one of those cards that is just too good to not play in your deck. But if you like this video and you like match videos, we have a ton more match videos coming. So please stay with us and hit that subscribe button. Turn your dial to Random Number Gaming for the best match videos and commentary. Thanks for joining us.